The date is April 2nd, 1989. The Rockers, a young, electrifying tag team, step into the dazzling, gaudy atmosphere of Trump Plaza in Atlantic City for WrestleMania V. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, clad in their flamboyant neon gear, exude a contagious energy that lights up the room. They're facing the Twin Towers, the towering duo of Akeem and the Big Boss Man. On paper, this is a mismatch. Two scrappy, high-flying underdogs versus two enormous, seemingly unstoppable behemoths. But the Rockers have made a career out of defying expectations. From the moment the bell rings, it's clear that the Rockers are here not just to compete, but to captivate. Their movements are poetry in motion, an intricate ballet of synchronized flips, dives, and double-team maneuvers that have the audience on their feet. The Twin Towers, by contrast, are methodical and brutal, using their size advantage to ground the high flyers. Ultimately, the story ends as one might predict, with the Twin Towers emerging victorious. Yet what lingers is the sense that Michaels and Jannetty are on the cusp of something monumental, poised to become the face of the Federation's tag team division. The Rockers embody the spirit of the golden era of wrestling, a time when the Federation is at its zenith, captivating audiences worldwide with its mix of drama, athleticism, and larger-than-life characters. The energized duo, with their youthful exuberance and undeniable chemistry, seem destined to wear championship gold. And yet, destiny has a cruel sense of irony. For all their promise, the Rockers' journey in the Federation would end not with a triumphant march to glory, but with a shocking and bitter dissolution. Backstage tensions would boil over into a real-life altercation, and their on-screen partnership would end in one of the most infamous moments in wrestling history: Shawn Michaels' betrayal of Marty Jannetty in the infamous barbershop segment. The duo's meteoric rise would be matched only by the abruptness of their fall, leaving fans to wonder what might have been. But before we delve into their fractious end, we must first understand the origins of the Rockers and the journey that brought them to the Federation. Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels first crossed paths in 1985 while competing in the National Wrestling Alliance's Central States territory, where their mutual respect and camaraderie sparked a partnership. In early 1986, the two joined the American Wrestling Association as the Midnight Rockers, a vibrant, fun-loving duo inspired by Judas Priest's Living After Midnight. Despite initial struggles against top teams like Buddy Rose and Doug Summers, they climbed the ranks, eventually capturing the Tag Team Championship on January 27, 1987. Recognizing the promotion's decline, they signed with the World Wrestling Federation while still champions, symbolizing their ambition to shine on a bigger stage. The Midnight Rockers made their Federation debut later that year, immediately challenging the Hart Foundation in a title match, and then securing a victory in their first television taping against Jose Estrada and Jimmy Jack Funk. However, this initial Federation stint was short-lived, as excessive partying and a lack of focus on their in-ring performance led to their dismissal within weeks, leaving their promising start abruptly derailed. After their departure, the Midnight Rockers moved to Continental Wrestling, but dissatisfaction and a shift in booking left them seeking new opportunities, and they transitioned to the Memphis scene, adopting villainous personas as self-absorbed superstars under manager Mark Guline. They feuded with teams like the Nasty Boys and the Nightmares, capturing the Southern Tag Team Championship. Splitting their time between Memphis as heels and the AWA as faces, they eventually regained the World Tag Team titles. But disputes over pay and contracts led them to quit the promotion in 1988, ending their reign with a loss to Bad Company. After leaving the promotion, Vince McMahon offered Jannetty and Michaels another chance in the Federation, contingent on improved professionalism. Rebranded as the Rockers, they debuted on television in June of 1988 and then made their pay-per-view debut at Survivor Series that November, eliminating the Bolsheviks before a chaotic double disqualification against the Brainbusters, which showcased their fiery in-ring style. The animosity between the Rockers and the Brainbusters intensified after a chaotic encounter on Superstars, where another disqualification derailed their match before it could truly begin. Their rivalry captivated fans, with a standout bout on January 23, 1989 at Madison Square Garden, where the Brainbusters eked out a victory through underhanded tactics. The feud escalated further at Saturday night's main event, where their relentless brawling led to a double countout, cementing their status as one of the era's most electrifying tag team rivalries. As mentioned earlier, the Rockers then faced the Twin Towers in a high-energy clash at WrestleMania V, where Shawn Michaels dazzled with missile dropkicks and flying forearms, but the Towers' sheer power turned the tide. Despite their double dropkick and near-fall efforts, a powerbomb from Bossman and Akeem's devastating Air Africa secured the win for the Twin Towers. In the spring of 1989, the Rockers entered a heated feud with the fabulous Rougeau brothers, ignited by a brutal attack on Shawn Michaels with Jimmy Hart's megaphone that left him bloodied. This rivalry sidelined their issues with the Brainbusters and introduced the Iron Man match concept to the Federation, though none of their 5 battles under the stipulation were ever televised. The feud culminated at SummerSlam, where the Rougeaus and Rick Martel triumphed over the Rockers and Tito Santana in a fast-paced 6-man tag team match. In late 1989, the Rockers reignited their rivalry with the Brainbusters after the latter dropped the tag team championship to Demolition. Their final brawls included a victory over the Brainbusters at Saturday night's main event and an unforgettable Survivor Series bout where Tully Blanchard's abrupt firing forced Bobby Heenan into action, culminating in Heenan dismissing the team in a storyline exit from the Federation. At the January 1990 Royal Rumble, both Michaels and Jannetty entered the fray, only to be eliminated by the Ultimate Warrior and the $1 Million Man, respectively. In April of the same year, the Rockers found themselves facing a fresh challenge from the newly formed Orient Express, consisting of Pat Tanaka and Akio Sato, igniting a fierce feud that began at WrestleMania VI and spanned over a year. When Sato departed the American wrestling scene, Tanaka was paired with his former Bad Company partner, Paul Diamond, under a mask, continuing the rivalry. Their high-flying, high-profile bout at the Royal Rumble remains one of the most celebrated matches in the event's history. According to Federation records, the Rockers never officially held the Tag Team Championship, despite defeating the Hart Foundation in a 2 out of 3 falls match on October 30, 1990, in Fort Wayne, Indiana, a bout that appeared to crown them champions. However, the accidental breaking of the top rope and the ensuing disjointed nature of the match led the Federation to never recognize the title change, opting instead to revert the titles back to the Hart Foundation after the match. After 6 years of teaming since 1985, the Rockers ultimately dissolved in December 1991 amid backstage disputes, the specifics of which remain unclear, but are believed to center around monetary disagreements. Michaels' account in his book suggests Jannetty was lured by an exaggerated offer from World Championship Wrestling, leading to a miscommunication when Michaels, later shocked, claimed it was Jannetty's idea to leave the Federation, prompting a dramatic split. The fallout subsequently saw Michaels embrace a heel turn, eager to establish himself as a singles competitor, while Jannetty, resistant to the split, was left disillusioned by the breakup. On screen, the backstage tensions between Michaels and Jannetty were subtly woven into their growing dissension, with Michaels perceiving Jannetty's actions as sabotaging him during a match with Ric Flair. This animosity escalated at the 1991 Survivor Series, where Jannetty inadvertently caused Michaels' elimination, culminating in their final televised match against the Legion of Doom, after which their bitter argument over blame marked the end of their partnership. In May 1991, the Rockers' backstage tension escalated into a legitimate fight, instigated by a drunken Roddy Piper, who praised Michaels as the future of the business, inadvertently insulting Jannetty. Fueled by jealousy, Jannetty confronted Michaels, and despite Michaels' refusal, Jannetty attacked, leading to a physical altercation that Piper had to break up, with Michaels passing out and not waking until the following day. Jannetty's version of events includes police involvement and his near arrest, only averted by Randy Savage's intervention, and Michaels, shaken by the incident, nearly quit the Federation, which Jannetty believed contributed to the eventual breakup of the Rockers. Their official breakup occurred on Brutus Beefcake's Barbershop segment, which aired on January 11, 1992, where Michaels, after seemingly reconciling with Jannetty, shockingly super-kicked him and threw him through the barbershop window. Michaels then symbolically ripped their photo in half, cementing his transformation into a despised heel, further amplified by the Federation's decision to allow Jannetty to blade after the window spot. Following their split, Michaels and Jannetty were set to feud, but Jannetty's arrest in late January for resisting arrest, cocaine possession, and drug paraphernalia led to his suspension, temporarily derailing their rivalry. During Jannetty's absence, Michaels embraced his Heartbreak Kid persona, aligning with Sherry Martel as his manager and capturing the Intercontinental Championship from the British Bulldog. The feud reignited on an October episode of Superstars, when Jannetty returned, attacking Michaels with a mirror. Michaels shielded himself with Sherry, causing Jannetty to unintentionally injure her, which led her to side with Jannetty at the 1993 Royal Rumble. After an unsuccessful title challenge, Jannetty was fired for alleged drunkenness, though it was later revealed that his poor performance was due to a lack of sleep, not intoxication, and he was eventually brought back. In May of 1993, Jannetty made a surprise return on Monday Night Raw, defeating Michaels with Mr. Perfect's help to capture the Intercontinental Championship, only to lose it back to Michaels 3 weeks later due to interference from Diesel. The feud quickly lost steam, with Michaels moving on to other contenders while Jannetty's role diminished, eventually leading to his departure from the Federation in the spring of 1994. In September 1995, Marty Jannetty returned to the Federation, initially competing as a singles wrestler, before being paired with Al Snow in early 1996 to form the New Rockers. What began as a homage to the original Rockers devolved into a comedic caricature inspired by the Monkees, with Snow rebranded as Leif Cassidy, a gimmick Jannetty reluctantly embraced, only to discover later that the transformation was Shawn Michaels' suggestion, and the duo ultimately languished in obscurity before Jannetty again left the company in December 1996. This long saga and contentious feud is far from being the only one that turned into real-life violence. If you want to see 9 other instances, then check out this video right here. 10 real-life fights between WWF wrestlers. Just go ahead and click the thumbnail appearing on your screen right now, and I'll meet you there momentarily. Thank you for watching.